Well, how about that Aztecs men's basketball team hanging in there despite the remade roster and a bit of a break on tap before a Saturday road game. Greeting and salutations, Steve Perez with Lewis Weiner here on Aztecs All In, where we say hey to the aforementioned Lewis Weiner.
Hello, Steve. Those games were not easy, but a win is a win.
In this edition, we delve a bit more into how that men's hoop squad's holding up as the calendar turns to February, and more big conference matchups on tap.
The Aztecs barely hold on to win a game that they led by 11 points with just 10 seconds left.
And we take a quick look at the recent performance of the women's basketball team, closing in on the 20-win mark overall, but just 50-50 in conference play. Now over to you, Lewis, about the men's most recent performance and how they're holding up thus far.
You know, Steve, it's hard to understand why the Aztecs seem to play down to their competition at home. It really is a mystery. But with 3 home losses already, the Aztecs are struggling to put mediocre to average teams away at home, but not so much on the road. And the numbers prove just that. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I did crunch the numbers. On the road, the Aztecs' average margin of victory is 12.8 points per game. But at home, that number drops to just 11 points a game. And even that 11-point margin of victory is padded by the Aztecs' 29-point home win versus Air Force. Fans were hoping it would be different against a Wyoming team that came to Viejas with a 10-9 record, and they were just 4-6 in conference play. But unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. And the Aztecs hanging on there for a 63-61 win. This was a tight game throughout, but neither team was able to take control for any length of time until the last few minutes. The game had 13 lead changes, 6 ties, but it really did look grim for the Aztecs with about 6:35 left, and they were down 50-41. That's when, for the third time in 5 games, the Aztecs pulled the proverbial rabbit out of the hat, turning a big deficit into a lead. Coach Brian Dutcher calls college basketball games a game of runs, and recently the Aztecs' runs are so big that they're running the opposing teams out of the building. From the 6:35 mark to the 56-second mark, the Aztecs went on an incredible 20-0 run. 20-0. That's 20-0. The first 8 came on free throws, including 3 from Myles Byrd, who was fouled while taking a 3, something that would haunt the Aztecs a bit later. The next 12 came via a Byrd jumper, a Gwath jumper, 2 Myles Heidi put-ins, and then 4 more free throws. Just how they drew it up, right? But then it was time for the wild and crazy. B.J. Davis fouled a 3-point shooter. Taj DeGorville fouled a 3-point shooter. The Cowboys make a bunch of free throws, and miraculously, Wyoming scores 11 points in just under 3 seconds. Can that really happen? Well, it did to the Aztecs. It was so bad that Wyoming's star player, Obi Agbim, who averaged 18 a game coming in, had just 4 points the entire game until scoring 8 more in the final 11 seconds. After the game, it was a huge sigh of relief from Coach Brian Dutcher.
If patience is a virtue, I'm the most virtuous man in the country. I had to be patient today again. Waited for a 20-0 run. We had an 18-0 run against San Jose. Now we didn't close the way I wanted to close. Nick got a technical. And they warned him. They warned him at our end. They came to the bench, and then I don't know what happened to the other end. He must have said one more thing. So I told him he's not the first or the last player I'll have that happen to, but it can't happen again. So he made the game a little bit in doubt at the end. We had to make get the ball inbounded, make a free throw or 2, and then Chemo missed the one we wanted to miss with .8. They couldn't throw it the length of the floor, so we made enough plays to win the game when it was in doubt. So proud of our effort, proud of our kids, and like I said, everybody doesn't have their night every night. And so I thought BJ had a lot of wide open looks that I'd let him shoot every time. And Wayne had some looks and looked like he was struggling with his confidence. And I hugged them both after the game and told them, I believe in you. You helped us win at the defensive end. I know you wanted the ball to go in. When it doesn't go in, you still help us win. And get your confidence back up because I've got confidence in you. We were too far ahead, and like most young teams, we thought it was over. So we were trying to switch that ball screen. I looked up, and Taj was on 15. It should have been Magoon, and Magoon should have switched, and Bichet should have just switched it, and we could have contested the shot. But BJ tried to block it from behind because he thought we were ahead. He thought he could get the block, and it started the process. And then Nick got a technical. Is what happens when you don't concentrate for a full 40 minutes, you leave yourself open for problems. And we didn't concentrate for 40. We played a magnificent stretch. So I want to embrace that and embrace the 20-0 run and the fight we had to take the lead. And then we didn't finish the job the way I wanted to finish. And you're responsible for all 40 minutes. And so we didn't finish the way I thought we should have, and we'll learn from it.
Steve Magoon Gwath had another great game, scored 14 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocked shots, and for the second straight week, he was named the Mountain West's Freshman of the Week. Good for him. Nick Boyd added 13, Myles Byrd had 11. Myles Heide continues to make his presence felt. He started again in the place of Jared Coleman-Jones. The Aztecs outscored Wyoming with 20 with Heide in the game. He added 9 points, 3 rebounds, and a steal. So the Aztecs win their 4th straight, but earlier in the week, the Aztecs faced another major challenge at home against San Jose State. Right, Steve?
Yeah, the San Jose Spartans at Viejas. About that, I heard one take pregame about how the Aztecs should win going away, scoring early and often, and being dominant on their home court. Well, seeing much the same team you've been seeing, Lewis. A lot of talent, not showing it consistently, and that's the team that showed up for the red jersey giveaway night with outrageously long lines outside the arena for the giveaway, which for the record featured the number 1, Lewis. That's 1 as in uno. And on this Tuesday night in late January, for much of the game, the Aztecs were outplayed by the visitors. It was not for the lack of effort on the home team's end. The visitors instead blow a 21-point first-half lead after leading most of the game and end up losing in the closing moments. Aztecs claw back with an 18-point run starting at the 7:58 mark in the second half. Final score, 71-68. Great comeback to win, of course, but players Magoon, Gwath, and Myles Byrd said afterward there's a lot of room for improvement individually and as a team. Magoon led the Aztecs with 24 points, but called it a punch in the mouth to start this game. Byrd tallied 13, and he called it maybe not being ready to play, combined with the opposing team being more energized to face the Aztecs on their home hardwood.
You know, I was really just trying to focus on one possession at a time. I had like a couple bad plays at the start of the game, got a little frustrated, and I was just thinking next play, what can I do to help my team win? My shots have been falling a little more in my workout, so I have a little more confidence, and I'm just trying to take the right ones, you know, the ones that I'm comfortable taking, and it worked out well.
A lot of the teams in the league starting to play me really physical, which has led me to get off to really slow starts the past few games. And for me, I just got to stay with it, trust my teammates, thank my teammates. You know, they did a great job during halftime. The coaches, you know, getting on me the right way, telling me to stay in the game, that they need me, and I was able to come out second half. And you know, that's when shots are falling, that's when it's easy to stay composed and, you know, go out there on the defensive end and fly around and stuff like that. So it's more about when it's not going in.
As for Coach Dutcher, he fielded a lot of questions about why this team seems to play better on the road. All in all, he started out saying, heck of a game by a gritty team.
Got 21 down and found a way to fight their way back to 11 at halftime, and then played even early in the second half and then went on a run. And in large part due to how they played, large part to this environment we have here, which is second to none. Our fans get behind us. You know, you get 21 down in some buildings, you're going to get booed. They don't boo us. They hang in there with us. They know these are young kids playing their hearts out, and they make mistakes. And we made a lot of them in the first half. We had 11 turnovers in the first half, and we were just trying to go too fast. You know, when they make 15 threes for a game out of 31 shots, you think you're not going to win. That's a hard thing to overcome. But we found a way to do it.
When it comes to college basketball, especially in this conference where all the programs, coaches, and players know their opposition extremely well, and especially at this point where there's a lot of games in the can, a lot of tape of tendencies, offenses, defenses to review, study, game plan against, and what it really comes down to at the end is what Coach Dutcher just said, finding a way to do it. Lewis?
Thank you, Steve. I briefly want to mention the third Aztecs win since our last podcast. It was a big 19-point win on the road against Nevada, 69-50 on January 25th. The script in this game, though, was flipped, right? The Aztecs jumped out to a quick 5-0 lead. Wouldn't you love that every game? We can only wish. But then came the lull, and it was a big one early. The Aztecs wouldn't score again for 7.5 minutes, missing 6 shots, turning the ball over 4 times. The Wolfpack made the Aztecs pay. They went on a 13-2 run, but the Aztecs struck back quickly here, going on a 13-0 run, and they never trailed again. Magoon Gwath had a great game, scoring 15 points on 7 of 7 shooting and 13 rebounds. And look at this, he becomes just the second San Diego State player since 1998 to accomplish that feat. Hey, Steve, how about an update on the women's team?
So the Aztec women, fresh off a win at one of the toughest places in the West, the Pit of Albuquerque. Aztecs held Lady Lobos to 46 points overall. They piled up 59 of their own. Gave them their 16th win of the season overall against 7 losses, but just a .500 record in conference play. A chance to move up against Fresno State Wednesday night before coming home for conference foe Wyoming. That's a 1 p.m. tip-off on National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Take us out, Lewis.
Thanks, Steve. Before we go, though, I want to talk a little about what we're witnessing with this very young Aztecs team. And you don't want to take it for granted. Against Air Force, the Aztecs were down 12 in the first half and went on a remarkable 40-4 run. Against San Jose State, it was an 18-0 run. Against Wyoming, it was a 20-0 run, not to mention a 13-0 run against Nevada. So while these young Aztec players can be mistake-prone, they're also showing grit, talent, determination, and a never-say-quit attitude. And Coach Dutcher knows he's watching something pretty special.
I don't know how many teams in the country go on an 18-0 run and follow it up the next game with a 20-0 run. Not many. Probably the only time it's happened this year for any team in the country to go on those kind of runs in a game in the second half. I'd imagine that we're the only team in the country that's done that this year, that can go on those type of runs. Not just when you're ahead by 14 and then you make it whatever. When you're behind, you go on those runs. And that's incredible from this team.
A final note, Myles Byrd was named among the top 10 on the Basketball Hall of Fame's 2025 Julius Erving Awards watch list. Good for him. It recognizes the top small forwards in the nation, so good luck to Myles. And that will do it for this episode of Aztecs All In. Please drop us a line, aztecsallin@gmail.com. You can also follow us on the X, Aztecs_all_in. So for Steve Perez, I'm Lewis Weiner. Until next time, take care.